welcome.
What's going on, everyone? I'm sorry in advance. My voice is all raspy with being a story dad with 3 kids at home and little petri dishes over the winter break. I feel like I've had this lingering cold for the past month, it feels like.
Yeah, the preamble. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate the podcast. It helps us a lot. Doesn't cost you any money.
We're actually putting these live now. So this is we actually have podcasts up at the time of doing this, which is...
That's right.
I don't know if that's been the case for some of them. Maybe the last one we did, but...
Yeah.
So we're realizing, yes, like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the ridiculous things we have to say as we overanalyze these stories.
Yeah, and our credentials, Eric he actually has a license. He's practicing MFT. He's actually gone to school, knows what he's talking about. I am largely autodidactic and full of BS. And so by all means, get in the comments, humble me, and push back on all that. I work in filmmaking and storytelling for, 20, almost 25 years now in various capacities. And so a lot of what I've picked up has just been stuff along the way. So
and you're a sharp guy and intellectual. And that was nice what you said about my degrees, but we all know that degrees don't mean anything.
Well, I'm glad you said it.
Actual wisdom or knowledge, right? I'd love to hold that over you, but a lot of goofy therapists out there.
Yeah, are you going to make me call you Dr. Anderson?
A lot of really sorry. I could not do that because I don't have a PhD, but once I get that, I'm going to hold that over your head real good.
There you go. I like it. For a brief minute there, I was a guest instructor at Otis College of Art and Design.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And man, when the kids called me professor, I was like, well, I could get used to that. I have a title. And now I see what the draw is.
I've done a couple guest lectures at schools. I could maybe, if I really wanted to boost the ego, just like, I have a title now. You got to call me that.
Yeah. Just flex it. And so that does sort of lead us into the Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Because there is this totalitarian bent to this one, which is so cool. So I'm glad this is us. We're capping off like what are we calling it? The Toy Story cycle.
The Toy Story cycle,
including Toy Story 4 or the announced Toy Story 5 in the cycle, because I do not think that Toy Story 4 is cohesively a part of the same arc.
No.
And we'll get into that, but
we might throw that one in as an addendum later. But we're capping off the Toy Story cycle today.
Yeah, Toy Story cycle will end here today with Toy Story 3. So thank you for bearing with us so far. We started Toy Story 2 talking about the downfalls or the pitfalls that sequels can fall into.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a similar, not necessarily a pitfall, because generally with a lot of series, you'll find the second installment is kind of not so great. And then the third one, they will go back to formula. And that is typically, I think of like Back to the Future. A lot of people didn't like Back to the Future 2. It was definitely sequel, departure from the thing, specifically the whole idea of going to the future and then having to retread your adventure from the last one. But then what they did with 3, and the same pattern happens in Indiana Jones, is what they did with 3 is they went back to the original pattern and structure and everything of the first one. And usually they'll just kind of reverse it. And so you have Marty having to teach Doc, like Doc is the child and he's having to be mentored by Marty, and Indiana Jones going back to being a child and having to deal with his father, and he's also having to kind of, so there's a lot of that kind of thing in that. And what's cool about Toy Story 3 is it, similarly to how Toy Story 2 did not fall into, maybe we could call them instead of traps, like the ruts in the road of sequeldom. Toy Story 3 also, in my opinion, does not follow into the ruts of just retreading all the great things that worked and then, being clever about inverting it and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
and in the Toy Story, in all the Toy Story sequels, there's not much of your classic like sequelitis stuff where it's just, hey, remember that thing that was clever, that was fun, that you love? Like, let's just do it again. Like, I don't, maybe there's 1 or 2 examples in these 2 of something, like the taglines and stuff, but there's not like this trope we got to fit into throughout all this.
Yeah.
Over the Christmas break, my kids watched Home Alone 1 and 2, both great movies. Home Alone 2 is all like remember that thing that was really funny in Home Alone 1? We're going to do it in New York now.
Yeah.
And again, it worked. That's actually a sequel that I think works, but that's very much like that sequel formula. I don't see any of that in 2 or 3.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. That's another one that rough sequel world.
Right.
Yeah, and then the other thing that works so well about these Toy Story movies is just thinking about it, I was trying to put together notes for this, is that each one really leans into genre in a way. Like the example that plays out before us in Andy's playroom, which we've talked about, is like a microcosm of this sort of garden, world, this walled city, this Athens, Eden, whatever it is genre bending. Like that is the nature of this integrated play, is that the cowboy and the spaceman play the same game, which side note is why Star Wars is awesome, is because it's a space Western. And it is, it is the integration of multiple genres. And so movie 1 is a road trip, chained to each other, Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder movie. I forget what it's called.
Buddy comedy? Yeah.
It's a buddy, it's like the mismatched buddy comedy on the road, right? They're isolated, they're chained together. Right. They have to work out their differences in order to get home. So it's like the buddy on the road movie. The second one is Taken, like it's a kidnapping plot, right? But it's genre bends, but at its core, it's kidnapping movie. Buzz gets kidnapped. They have to solve the clues to find out. They have to go into the base, get him out. Like it's
as Woody gets kidnapped.
Woody gets kidnapped, and Buzz is Liam Neeson, right? He's got a particular set of skills, and he's gonna go get him. And then the third movie is a Prison Break movie, and it's genre, and it really leans in, and it just sort of bends it a little bit, plays with genre, and so
it's also interesting because this is the one. Well, I guess they did in Toy Story 2, but it is leaving Andy's room. It's not centered around Andy's room. In fact, the whole theme is end of Andy's room.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so the way the thesis I'm bringing, along with continuing the thesis I've been working on through the Toy Story movies 1, 2, and 3, is one is sort of the elementary ordering of priorities and ethic and identity in terms of what it means to be a toy in service to Andy. Yeah.
And this one definitely continues that.
This one, and I think what this one does is it's that realization, and again, if you've been along the ride this long, you know that we're going to bring in Western canon and biblical canon and stuff like that. So the theme, I think, is really similar to the part in the story where Jesus turns to his disciples and he's like, "I'm leaving." And they're like, "What? That wasn't part of the plan. You stay forever and everything's just great forever." And he's like, no, you guys have a job to do and I'm leaving. And then he finishes the statement and says, "But I won't leave you orphans. I'm going to send another." And so you'll go and do great things, right? And so this movie happens.
So Bonnie's the Holy Spirit. That's what you're saying.
In this instance, yes, Bonnie's the Holy. So, but this whole movie happens in that gap between I'm leaving and I'm sending another. And it's that span of faith, which, all of us are living in between this beatific infanthood and whatever the rest of the story is when we kind of return to a sort of decrepit infant capability in our old age. And then something else happens, right? And we're in this period of having work to do. And so this movie I would equate to the church age. And so these disciples, if you could bear with me on this,
that's great.
The disciples of Andy's playroom go out into the world and they're confronted with the tyranny of the world that pushes back on all of the values and everything they've learned in terms of being a community.
So you're talking about ending up at the daycare.
Yeah.
That's the world because I took that as, what was the thing, when they first meet Lotso and he's introducing them or he's showing them around the daycare. To me, it was very much if I'm looking at it through the lens of the spiritual biblical lens, it's you reject, he's rejected children. He's rejected, like, your owner can't hurt you anymore. You stay here. And he's very emphatic about, like, we're in charge. We're the people. We make our own rules. And I just got like, totalitarian. You have abandoned you've abandoned your god, and we are the gods now, and we're going to build the utopia. And see how great it is. And it looks really great at first, right? And then within a second, they're all split into casts, and who's in this room and who's in this room, and it goes exactly where all that goes.
Yes, it goes where it inevitably goes when you have. And the thing about Lotso is it's not that he doesn't think you should have an owner. It's not that he's over the idea of ownership. It's not even that he's sort of the hubris that we experienced in Toy Story 2 of like, oh, well, maybe I can be the special thing. Like I'm my own owner. It is him saying, yes, there are owners and I hate them. And in spite of them, I am going to create an order that survives them, that insulates me against them. And so it's something other than a lack of faith or anything. It is a bitterness and a resentment, and it's Machiavellian. Yeah. Like lots
but it very much is, yes, God exists. I hate him. I'm in charge of this. I can do it better. I know more. It's very much Peterson's take on Cain and the Cain and Abel story. Like,
it's Cain and Abel. It, God bless him. I love Stephen Fry, but some of the ways that he talks about his atheism and, or at least as I've heard him in the past talk about it, I don't know where he stands now. And other friends of mine that are sort of the new atheist kind of position. And if that's you, then, hey, I'm glad you're watching, and please, again, jump in and push back. But I often get the sense people say, even if I met God, I would still not believe in him as an act of resentful rebellion, like spite for him not living up to my idea of
because Lotso's one of the first quotes he says to them is like, don't worry about Andy. Like, he can't hurt you anymore. He just assumed you guys have been burned by this kid. And Woody just keeps trying to say, like, no, like, this was the best thing ever. Like, we want to get back to this. Like, that's like the point of everything here.
Right.
I'm not even sure, like, I want to be here. And then you see, this is what happens in systems like that is all of the other toys within the Andy's room crew slowly start getting sucked into this, and it looks great and it's flashy and isn't this so awesome? And oh, great, we're in the caterpillar room and Barbie's found Ken, and this isn't this awesome? We're all finding these places, right?
By the way, like the Barbie and Ken bit through this whole thing is so good. Yeah. Like it's so. First of all, it's this funny inversion of Adam and Eve in this inversion of the garden, but also those actors are so good, and it's it's the voice of Ariel coming back to play Barbie, and
that's great.
Michael Keaton as Ken, who is, we all forget that he's like Tom Hanks, a comedian first, an Oscar award-winning dramatic actor later.
Yeah.
So they're so good. And the way they like mess with their roles and how it winds up playing out to be romantic. Like, it's just so good. They and then also commentary on what I think a lot of people get wrong when they are practicing, particularly a Western American Christian faith journey practice, whatever you want to call it. They go, oh, we're trying to get back to the garden. We're trying, like the whole thing, we're trying to go back to Eden. And that's kind of what Woody is doing, where he's like, guys, we got to go back. Like, that's where we belong, is back in this place that's gone.
Well, and but it's almost like we belong in Andy's rotting away up there. Like, there's a mix up. They're taken to the daycare, and no, Andy wanted to put us in the attic, so we just gotta kind of sit on the shelf there, and that's our life.
Yeah, and that is where my model falls apart a little bit, is that Andy is a fallible character in this, and has like he comes around because he is also a character with an arc, because it's a well-made movie. But that devotion of the toys is we must go back into, and we're trying to. And at the beginning, what they're trying to reclaim with playing with technology and everything, like they're trying to use these new tools to get back to where Andy was 8 and playing with them. And like he's just not. He's not. That would be bad for Andy.
Well,
and it's not good for
the other overall theme that brings up is just it's the inevitability of death, inevitability of the end, inevitability of like, you're a toy. You were meant to serve this child. Children grow up. They leave, and it's like. What the movie does really well is just right from the get-go, it tells you like that's inevitable. Like, this kid is growing up and he's leaving for college in 5 days, and they're giving everything they can for one last chance to play with this kid.
Yeah, and What's also brilliant about that from the storytelling perspective is that everybody who grew up with Toy Story, like the movie Toy Story 3 is 15 years later.
Right.
They are Andy. Like if you are watching Toy Story 3 and you were around for Toy Story 1, you have been this guy, and you also love these toys.
Yeah.
You have these amazing memories with these toys. And so the emotional stakes as the audience member coming into this movie are baked in. And at that point, it's the movie maker's game to lose. You know, all they have to do is sort of screw you over somehow as the audience member and serve you poor gruel. And you're like, all right, well, I'll just watch 1 and 2 and then I'll be fine. But they don't. They take the toys and they take the mission that they're on and they internalize it into something that they can perpetuate in terms of this like compass of what the point of a toy is. And it turns out they think the point of the toy, they mistake it for like the point of toyness is to be played with.
Right.
And because there's so much pleasure in it. And then they get what's beautiful. And again, this is just like spiritual life. They get exactly what they asked for.
All you're doing is getting played with all the time in the daycare, toddlers spitting on you, and no one really knows you or cares about you. It's all just hedonistic pleasure.
Yes, and it's relentless play.
Yeah.
Without ceasing, and it's going to destroy them.
Like, that's good. That's good.
So anyway, so Woody's mistake is thinking they can go back to the garden, which is a lot of what I think people's spiritual mistake is. And it's like, no, there's something, we don't know it yet. We don't know what it is. We just know that there's something else ahead that is not the same as what's behind. It's somehow better. I don't know how it's better. How could anything be better than Eden in Andy's room?
Well, but and it's the inevitability of when you try to cling on to the past that it's not, it doesn't exist anymore. You're it's what you see, I think, now a lot with people longing for the nostalgia of when they were growing up and rehashing all their favorite cartoons for the 90s. And it's kind of fun. Like, oh yeah, I remember this. This was cool. But like, if you're just living in that, it feels sad and pathetic and like you're
same
just
with pining for the 1950s. Oh, if
whatever.
only the world could be like the 1950s. It's like, no, this stuff sucked then too. Like,
no, it's the lack of courage to go into the unknown because you don't know what the next good thing ahead could be, and so it is a courageous act to step forward in that, knowing you might have to go through some hell before the positive things come up. It's an act of faith pushing forward like that. But yeah, longing for whatever the past was, that's where the toys are at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is also cool. I know we're jumping around a little bit. The opening scene of this, it takes the game Andy plays with them at the beginning of Toy Story 1 and just fully immerses you in the child's imagination of that. Like total animator flex on that. Just putting all these ideas like on steroids and all these new characters coming together and playing with each other. And then it quickly moves you into recognizing like this is the end of that chapter. This is where we're turning the page on that.
Yeah. And it's cool because it shows us like the most integrated play that we've seen. Like he's at the peak of his playness. Like it's the skills and the relationship of the toys to one another is this fully integrated group, which then they tell us like everyone else has gone off to other owners. So now it's just us. And it has that feeling of, you know, what I think the thesis of the movie is the same thing that, again, I'm going to like jump back to the Christian mythology where he says, they will know who you are by your love. And that it's this love for one another in this community.
Yeah, specifically the love you have for each other.
Yeah, for each other and the dedication to your mission. And so, you know, we're still just talking about the themes. We're not even really talking about the movie itself, but because it almost, you could just go through the movie scene by scene.
Yeah.
And just, it's a mastercraft in filmmaking. The themes are all there. Like every character gets maximally explored. in this movie, and there isn't another gimmick or gag or inversion or anything you could. And so the thing that I think is symbolically important about that is the ontological change that they undergo. And so every character in some way like steps into a facet of themselves that they haven't experienced before.
Yeah.
And
can you give an example of that? Like for some of, I'm thinking like Potato Head, Rex, like
So Potato Head visibly changes. He puts himself on that tortilla and finds that he has all these abilities he didn't know he had.
Oh yeah.
And that not to be cliche about it, but he's more than the sum of his parts,
right?
Because he's always just been these parts. And Mrs. Potato Head, which by the way, shout out to that actress. I don't know if she's still alive or not, but wherever she is, I think Miss Potato Head steals the show.
Yeah.
Any scene she's in, her deliveries are hysterical.
Yeah.
And like I still, when she's like, let's adopt them, like I don't know, she's just crazy. Like I would love to have watched her record that. Mrs. Potato Head she's a telepath. Right. She has these abilities to see across the city and see what's going on. And Buzz, of course, goes through several transformations in this.
Right.
You know, we always knew he was mentally unstable, and this one proves it. And the brainwashing, the way that they implemented the concentration camp torture brainwashing thing in the toy world was so great. And at the end he comes out as this like debonair, passionate lover when he gets into Spanish mode, which is just awesome. And then we get to see we've seen Jessie be tough, and she's the cowgirl and the tomboy and all that, but she also gets to play the object of romance. She gets to enjoy being the feminine object of affection. And then Woody also resolves his desire to come back to the garden. You know, and Woody in this one, he's almost more of a catalyst protagonist. Like he doesn't have so much of an arc. He comes to a new conclusion with what's best for all the toys.
Yeah. Well, it's almost, I feel like Woody's is a grief story. It's a coming to let go of like, because he's trying to cling on to like our role is with Andy throughout this whole thing, and it's interesting because he gets put in the box for Andy to take to college, and he's the only toy that gets there, and it's like, all right, Woody was the favorite toy, so it makes sense he would be the only one that gets to do that, but that's not ultimately where he's supposed to end up. Him ultimately, which is the one time throughout the whole thing that he appropriately lets go of his dedication to Andy.
And he seeds it with them where he says, look, the reason we're going to the attic is that sooner or later he's going to have kids. And then our job is back. We return to mission. And so in some way he knows what his mission is. He just doesn't know the way to get there. So then when we meet Bonnie, so the car's going and it does this cool thing. So movie structure, nerd info, like you always around the break from act 1 to act 2, you cross a threshold, and usually it's a body of water or it's a bridge or it's something where it clearly indicates visually with audio, because it is a visual medium, filmmaking, that you have left one world, you're entering another. And in this one, it's a speed bump, which is also symbolic. And, like, we're on the way to where, speed bump, and it interrupts Woody's tirade. It's sound, the car jumps, and then you go, we're at Sunnydale, and the door, they go under a rainbow, and so there's this whole threshold. They come in, and the first thing they meet when they come in, first thing we meet is Bonnie.
Look how big
and her design, her name, even Bonnie, it conjures up, bon, like good and beautiful and bounty, or like Bonnie has it's round and open and it's full of potential, and it's beauty and truth and goodness, right? In that bon idea. And even her design, she's got this bob, so she's got a little bit of a masculine characteristic, but she's also got jewelry, and she's got like rainbow stripes, and so she's got a feminine. So there's all this integrated idea in her that she might be the same collision of integrations and ideas that we've been familiar with Andy. And then later when Woody gets accidentally kidnapped and drawn into her playroom, we see that her playroom is an analog of Andy's playroom, which reminds me of that idea in scholarship of types of Christ. Like,
Mm,
so she's a type of Andy.
mhm.
She plays with genre. She like
Yeah.
genre bends.
Yeah.
Her games. She's not like Molly, where her tea parties are, you know, like extremely homogenous in terms of, you know, what kind of genre is being played out. And everybody's got these characters and they get to play and they get to, and all of them are actors, which is also that idea of ontological change, which again, I'm going to nerd out some more, like is the message of the church age perpetuating out into the world, is that the idea is not that we're static and we just be ourselves all the time. It's that when we step into this spirit of play with the world, as we're sent out into it, we love one another in community, but we're also capable of being so many things, and that we change, our fundamental natures change to meet the struggles and circumstances we're faced with.
Well, because ultimately, like, she's a version of Andy. She's not Andy. And that's the you can't go back to the past. It can't be a clone of what was. It can be similar, and these toys purpose and these gifts fits in it in a new way, and it brings out new sides of them for them to explore that they need to open themselves up to, not to just stay stagnant where they were, because the kid you grew up with, it's 15 years later and he needs to go on and live his life.
Yeah. The chrysalis of his room, he's outgrowing, and even the way it's designed, you can see all the posters and the toy and all that stuff. You can see that it, and he's too big for it. Like, and he just sits there on a computer. It's like, you don't belong in here, which is all of our childhoods and lives. And you know, if you don't, you know, if you're not growing, you're dying. And one of the bits of symbolism
I thought was really cool at the very end of the movie, like they leave his room, it's all the posters are off the wall, he's going to college, blank wallpaper, right? And then it goes to he donates the toy, or he gives the toys to Bonnie, and then the camera pans up to the clouds, right? It's the same clouds that are on the wallpaper of his room. And so now it's not the clouds on his room, now it's the clouds of the world.
It's the actual clouds.
The actual clouds.
And they're three-dimensional and they're real. They're more real. Yes. And that is, I mean, that's exactly, it is exactly why the series needed to end there, because it starts with the two-dimensional clouds, like being in flat world. Like if you know, that theological idea of flat world. And then they end essentially in heaven, and we see it. So to go back to the story, you know, it's a prison break movie, Shawshank Redemption. Like the reason that works as a genre is because on some level, we all perceive that we're in a prison, whether it's the prison of your mind or your body or your circumstances, or your world. There's a part in all of us that longs to escape from prison and to see what is, and the Matrix is a prison. And you want to get out, you want to break out of the cave, whatever it is. It resonates with all of us, or it wouldn't be a genre. They go deeper into it. Their attempt to escape takes them exactly to where they were trying to avoid in the first place, which is the dump. This whole thing was to keep from going to the dump. And the dump, again, going back to mythos, you know, Christian mythology, is Gehenna, which is frequently the symbolism used to represent this idea of hell or perdition or being outcast, is a trash pile. Like the literal Gehenna was a place where people put rubbish to burn it. And so they go there themselves, they face it, and in that final moment, which I can't get through it without crying, maybe someone else can, but when they look at each other and they go, well, this is it. Everything that we were trying to avoid, but at least we're together.
Well,
crying right now, we've been talking about it.
No, so exactly, because it fits with the whole story of, like, you're accepting your fate, and maybe we were just meant to be here together, right? And that's the act of faith of, like, no, this was our purpose, and this can be enough, even as we're facing the flames of hell. Even in the face of the thing that most terrifies you. Living into the promise makes it bearable. Like in that moment, they can bear it. You know, I'm getting emotional about it, but it's great. It's great. No, good, because, like, this is,
and we've seen it in our own lives. That's why it's emotional.
Exactly.
We've seen it.
Because you've seen those moments where it's at the end of whatever your world is at that moment. Maybe it's the end of a relationship. Maybe it's the end of chapter in life or a job or something, right? And
getting a special needs diagnosis on your
yeah,
unborn child,
yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
yeah.
And life's about to get turned upside down, right? Like that's what that's resonating with, that's happening at the moment. You're conscious of it or not, right? But then it comes to that moment, and it's why it's so beautiful when they kind of gracefully accept, like, all right, we're 30 seconds away from going down into the fire pit, and I guess that'll be it. I don't know if we're gonna come out on the other end.
Yeah. And then the most brilliant setup and payoff imaginable.
You started to
3
gush about
movies
this.
later.
You started to gush about this when we did Toy Story 1.
Yes.
Go ahead and wrap it up.
The most faithful, dedicated, like examples of faithful, dedicated acolytes are these little green men, and they come back, and because they served the claw, and the claw comes and rescues them. And so, in case you were wondering if these movies are about dedication to a mission, there you go. And it should, technically, this is also what's dizzyingly brilliant about it, and I hope that this gets back to the authors, it's Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
As far as like letter of the law goes, it should not work. This should be game breaking, where you go, oh, okay, so the claw just comes and saves them. But because it's thematic, because it's the little green men and they've set it up for 3 movies, and because our heroes have essentially died, like they go into the pit and they're looking right in the fire, and they do the same thing Cinderella does, like we talked about in Cinderella, is like everything they hoped for is smashed to pieces, and they go, I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Right. And that's the moment of their resurrection. Yes.
And so they resurrect. And so from then on, they're not in the world anymore, right? They have died. They've passed into this new creation. Lotso gets what he always wanted. As on some level, he's adored by someone who really did love Lotso. But on the other hand, now you're stuck with him. And you're on the grill of this thing like forever. So he goes into his perdition, and they, speaking of, villain comeuppance, and then they go on to like this other one. So they get that fulfillment of the promise of like, but I'm sending another, and they go and they play with, and he shows her how to play with them, and she immediately,
loves it.
Exceeds, the play. And so we get to see, we don't just go back, we go forward. There's something better.
I noticed too, this last watch through, something the animators did. It's really subtle, but like the expression on all the toys' faces as they're getting passed on to Bonnie, it feels very serene. It feels very peaceful, and the toys they're being played with, so they're not doing the dead, lifeless thing. There's like they're being played with, but there's a subtle smile on all their faces. That's just all those little subtleties they just pull off, which very much feels like someone who at the end of their life has accepted their fate and they're excited to see what's on the other side.
And so they go into this reward, and
like psychologically, that would be like, you've lived this full life cycle, you've resolved all your developmental stages, and now you're at this place of acceptance at a life well lived. Which not everyone gets to, by the way. But these toys, they've gone through hell and back in all these different ways and faced all these different things. And now that their time with Andy is coming to an end, they have this sense of peace and serenity, even despite that. Because they see it's all been part of something bigger.
And then like, help me here, because everything I know about psychology, I either learned in AP Psych in high school or have gleaned off of the internet like a nerd. But the progression of what is it like pre-conventional reasoning state, conventional reasoning state, and post-conventional reasoning state?
That's I'm not as familiar with that one. I'm thinking of like the Ericksonian stages of development.
Are those named after you?
Yeah, exactly. Eric Erickson. No, it's so like, I know the last one is ego integrity versus despair. Which is like at the end of life, and you've lived your life, you've produced the things you need to produce, you provide for the people you need to provide for, and then based on have you met these other developmental stages, the end of life is really reflecting back at a life well lived, at the ups and downs, at what the journey of all that's been, with the wisdom and all the guidance earned, or despair and resentment and regret about what was left on the table. It's not like an all or nothing thing, but like like the coming to that place of ego integrity is what came to my mind for these toys at the end of the movie, as like they're doing these like close-up zooms on them, and they have this kind of peaceful, serene smile, even though they're like they're not alive at that point. They're being played with, so they have to be frozen. But they're it's not the same expressions that they're frozen with when like, oh shit, Andy's coming. Like
right.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say they're not alive, but they're being played with, and that like the amazing built-in paradox of they're most alive when they're being played with. And there is even a sense in the physical animation of the way they're playing isn't just ragdoll physics. It's almost like they're actively involved in the play, and so they get to go and become, and then also they save the world that they were in, and so they bring the Andy-ness to this dystopian daycare, and they spread their virtue, and they spread their mission and their way of being together, their community mindedness to this fallen world, and they revive it, they rejuvenate it. And so it's the kind of thing where whoever decided to make a fourth one, I would love to know what those meetings were like and why. Part of why Toy Story needs to end at 3, why so many franchises and series need to end when they end, is because we don't know what comes after that. Like we get this vague glimpse again in biblical mythology and almost every religion's mythology of whatever comes next. Like we have no clue, and if we had a clue, then it wouldn't be good enough. Like it wouldn't it wouldn't scratch that paradisical itch. And so and leaving it a mystery is so important.
And we're not doing Toy Story 4 now. Toy Story 4, it's a completely different story. It's a totally different thing. Like you're borrowing from these characters, and it
now, in their defense, they have to, because you really can't go any further with the characters as we've seen.
No. Like the story comes to an end.
The story's over.
It's a story of the toys serving Andy throughout his childhood, and now his childhood is over. And so, like, of course, that story ends. So, I mean,
like even C.S. Lewis knew to stop it at this point. Like this is the part of Toy Story that's the 7th book of Narnia, where it's like, all right, we're further up and further in. Like now the clouds are real. Now the play is eternal. Now we see that there are other types of Andys out there that are going to perpetuate. Like we live in integrated play forever. And that's where you go, all right, now this story is beyond me. Which it does fit with the sort of the postmodern arrogance to go, let me fix it. Let me come in and fix it. Let me rearrange these power dynamics. And
which feels very much like Lotso. I'm going to decide, like, we are going to make our own world here. We're going to make it the way it should be. And it's a beautiful sales pitch, and it's a prison is what it creates.
In a weird way, Toy Story 4 is Lotso getting his revenge in the writer's room. And, oh, you love these toys? Let me deconstruct them. Like,
right.
Man, anytime I hear anyone want to talk about deconstruction, I'm just like, give me a break.
Micah gets hot about Toy Story 4.
Yeah. We'll get there.
But it's we kind of got into the villain comeuppance thing, but Lotso put on the front of the grill of the car. So you were saying that's because he gets the one adult now who actually. Oh, that's another thing. It's an adult who wants to play with him too. And he's no longer a kid, right? So it's if Andy gets stuck, if Woody gets stuck with Andy. Had Woody stayed with Andy, eventually would that have been his fate?
Right. Would he be hanging from a little noose by his, rear view mirror in his car? Probably.
Or, your college buddies, and you got your stupid toy there, and you're going to do something goofy with him. And
Yeah. And it's a great commentary, again, just like we talked about, like how Boogie Nights worked its way into these Toy Story conversations. It's, how am I a dysfunctional toy? Where in my life, and this is good, hey, male America, you hanging on to your toys too long?
Right.
Watch a 40-year-old version and put those
Yeah.
things on eBay. Get out there
Yeah.
and live a real life.
Right.
And I'm looking at mine. Do I have toys up there? I hope not. Sometimes I have toys so I can use them as models for actually rendering. So I was thinking of getting a Godzilla and a King Kong toy, but they're expensive. So anyway, so I'll just do it in my brain. Yeah, where am I looking to either resent my owner and fashion my world in my likeness? Where am I clinging on to the childish things,
That's the one thing that Toy Story does well is when the toys are played with by adults, it's always twisted. It doesn't work. It's Barnyard Al, he's going to use them for his own collector's thing, and it's not the purpose of these things. And Lotso is played with this way, he's shoved onto the front of the grill of the car. And Woody ultimately can't go with Andy to college because that time is over. And that may be an ironic take coming from two guys who are doing kids movies podcasts, but that's here we are.
Well, we do know that when Andy has kids, he's going to return to toys. And there is that moment where Andy has to make his decision where he's like, oh, she wants Woody.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, he belongs here.
Yeah. But it's ultimately like as you grow, your world can't be playing with toys. It could be creating toys. It could be understanding the story behind that and giving life to these things for your children and for all these other things. That's me rescuing myself from my own take.
Yeah.
Because that is what we try to do.
We see, he steps into being a mentor. In that moment, he sort of fast forwards all of our development, if we're, I think, developing helpfully or healthily, is we get beyond the point where we think we're the heroes. We go, okay, now it's my turn to train the next hero.
Right.
And, typically that happens later in life and where you return to either because you're a parent or because you're a teacher or because you've taken on an apprentice or you've just taken some new kid under your wing and you're going to show them the ropes and help them have a better future. So we get to see him fast forward that development before he's even left home. He's in this moment where he goes, which way, modern man? Back to the toys or mentor the next generation? And he goes, let me pass this on and show you how it works and then go do something better with it. And which is a beautiful story if it's not subverted by cynical postmodern fourth wave isms.
But even if and when it is, that story remains, and there's a reason why those ones will always resonate. They'll always resonate on that deeper level. And the movements to deconstruct that will fall by the wayside. It's just like, that was okay. It was fun. It was kind of cool.
It's a developmental hiccup.
It fades into the ether because it doesn't have that resonant kind of lasting power.
Yeah. And we see it like, have your kids ever asked for Toy Story 4?
No. I mean, like when it's new, you go through a phase of it where it's like, I want to do this one. It's the fourth one. It's the new one. There's some cool thing. Bo Peep's doing karate in that. Like,
and
all
the
right,
animation's awesome, and the new characters are funny. Like,
right. But like
it doesn't resonate.
Well, and it's do your kids, are they enamored by Forky and the cute funny stuff that happens with that character?
All
like
toys.
Totally. When they're 10 years older, is there still resonance around that, or is that one that doesn't age as well? They look back and it's stale. Because there's always a new character. There's always a new funny thing that's up there. There's always a new cool animation thing. Like, that can't be all it is.
Yeah. It works in the short term. It's and like it is cynical, right? It's this cynical bid at a cash grab, and it shows at some point that motivation ekes through in the story.
Yeah.
And my kid, also worth talking about. So my kid gets scared really easily. And he's very sensitive. I mean, who knows where he got that? Certainly not from the guy that cried on this podcast. But he asks for Toy Story 3 like more than any of them.
Yeah.
And Toy Story 3 is the scariest, I think.
Yeah.
Like, there's some scary stuff in 1, but in 3, the phone, the torture, that monkey, the surveillance state that they go under, all of this stuff's very timely, folks.
Right.
Like, we knew what good guys and bad guys acted like. back when Toy Story 3 came out, we kind of forgot at some point, and then we're remembering again that, you know, screeching monkey watching us all the time equals bad. Totalitarian, you know, seemingly benevolent totalitarian equals bad.
I was just going to add in there that, like, the seemingly benevolent totalitarian Lotso saying, hey, man, like, you don't got to worry about that God or religion or old morality. Just we make our own way with that, and we are building this awesome thing. Come be a part of it. Like, sounds great, right? Until 5 minutes in, where it's separated into castes and who's in which room and who's being told to tell on who. Like,
right, who's being encouraged to betray their
and how inherently like divisive it becomes and quick. And so it the fact they come through that to accept their fate, move on to the next chapter of their life, and we're left to just speculate on what that will be, is I don't know. It's as fitting to an end to a third movie as I think you could have, especially because like these movies aren't like, it's not Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi, where it's picking up right where it left off and you're resolving the cliffhanger of that next story. Like, they're all standalone movies. They have a context with each other and they flow into each other, but they're all like individual stories with their own larger.
Yeah. And it's consummate filmmaking from top to bottom. It's exhaustive. It's in keeping with, I mean, the humor's good.
Yeah.
And there's jokes in there now that these exact same writers and exact same artists would not make now, not because they've outgrown it, but because they're afraid to.
Nice handwriting,
like Ken's handwriting, and you know, like there's jokes in there, and that's funny, and we all know it's funny, and it got good laughs, and it's okay for it to be funny, but there's all kinds of things in these movies that, oddly enough, you know, post all of us kind of living in Lotso's world. For 10 years or so, we got to get back to the place where we can have fun and laugh and enjoy each other's differences like the toys do, where it's not that recognizing a difference is not the same as penalizing someone for a difference. It's enjoying it. It can be enjoying it.
Cool, man. Well, that's the Toy Story cycle, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see if and when we tack on the fourth one.
Yeah.
But what do we think comes next?
It's a good question. I don't know if we go back to a classic. What are you thinking?
How close are we to doing another Dad's Night Out?
I think we got to be close.
Okay. Yeah, we'll add those up. I think we got maybe one or two kids ones coming up, and then we'll throw in something crazy at hard R for you guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, this was fun. Love hearing the excitement and passion for this story. And stay tuned for what's next. One more time, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. We were StoryDads.